What does fowlering it mean? Right about now. Hello, everybody. There's a lot of songs. There's 21 songs before I even started the stream. That's a pretty aggressive start. I'm a big fan of aggressive starts. That's weird. I don't know why I said that. Okay, let's have a listen to see what you guys have made this week. Guys, I think my stream fouled up. I don't see foul. Okay. Yep, that's a possibility for sure. Let me, I guess, bring in the songs. Here we go. Delete the old songs and bring in the new songs. Okay, so we're gonna do Aiden's first because he said that it's late and he asked me to put him soon in the list, and he's not soon in the list, so we'll start with Aiden. Why not? Usually the order is completely random, but we will we'll start with Aiden. Okay. I dragged the wrong song in. There we go. Okay, this one's called Light in You, getting vocals from Sunflower. I don't know who Sunflower is, but they sound lovely. Okay, I dig the style. I like like somebody said, 2000s. It's kind of sounds like something that would have been on a State of Trance, compilation CDs back in the day or something. I like where this is going. I think the pad is like really loud in the mud frequencies. I wouldn't necessarily go that extreme, but yeah, I think the thing that's muddying up the mix is the pad. The pad just seems so dense and loud. Maybe it's just too loud, but to me, the frequency range that is like bothering me is down in that like 300 hertz range. Would you like to pull out a nuke from that frequency? I don't know what that question means, but I'm gonna say no. Make love, not war.
You look me in.
Oh my God, there's vocals?
There is no light left to see. Oh, there's no light left in me. My happiness is just a disguise. And if you look me in the eyes, you will realize that I'm dead inside. Have nowhere to hide.
Okay, this part confuses me rhythmically.
Dead inside, have nowhere to hide. And if you look me in the eyes, you will see the truth. I struggle through.
Like once it starts coming in and I can hear the kick drum, it makes more sense. But I think that like the off time side chain pumping with the vocals going over it is a bit it's a bit confusing. Especially because you're opening up this low pass, and because the kick drum is like a trance kick drum, right? So like, hold on, let me explain this. I think this is one of the reasons why it's throwing me off. There we go. We're at the bottom. So the kick drum, if you can imagine, a frequency spectrum. This is, maybe like 60 hertz, and this is like, I don't know, 1,000 hertz or something like that. Oh, sorry, I did it the wrong way around. This is like 0 seconds, and this is like maybe like, I don't know, 200 milliseconds. And the pitch goes from, you know, probably 1,000 hertz, maybe like 800, and it comes down to 60. So what's happening with the kick drum, the frequency, because it's like a trance kick drum, goes doom, 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 right? So you have this like, the start of it is up here in the higher frequency range, and then it comes down and settles into whatever the tone of or whatever note the kick is playing. But when you're low passing it, you say you're cutting it off down here, well, now the kick drum sounds like it starts here. It doesn't sound like it starts here because we're not hearing the high frequency part. We're hearing whatever the low pass is cut off at. So now the kick drum feels like it's late because it's no longer hitting at the 0 mark. It's hitting at the, you know, maybe like 20 milliseconds or so. I'm just making these numbers up, but you see what I mean? Like, as you open that low pass filter up, the rhythm of the kick drum becomes more apparent because we can hear the start of kick drum, which is a higher frequency. So that's like a needlessly complicated and technical way of explaining that the way that you're fading in the kick drum and the side chaining, it's throwing me off rhythmically. I don't know where like the downbeat is. Oops.
If you look me in the eyes, you will realize that I'm dead inside, have nowhere to hide. And if you look me in the
But then around 53 here, it like, okay, now I start to get the rhythm, but there's just like this like 5 seconds of kind of awkward timing that I would probably not do. Let's keep going.
struggle through my youth, and if I can't be soothed, I don't know what I'll do.
It honestly, it kind of reminds me of like a Dance Dance Revolution song, and I mean that in a complimentary way. I do like it. I find it's quite dull. Like there's not a whole lot of high frequency stuff going on because you have like that pad, but that pad doesn't have a whole lot of high frequency in it. So if I go in and say, so if you ignore that, like when I add 6 decibels to the top frequency range up here, I think the track sounds better, but then the vocals are like, wow, that's very bright. You hear how like the life comes out of it when I boost the high frequencies up? Sunflower's vocals will fill this up a lot. No. The instrumental should be balanced on its own, right? And then the vocal should complement the vocal. But I don't think that having her vocals is going to make the track brighter. It's just going to make her vocals. It's going to add some high frequency, but not to the dun 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 dun. I think just generally speaking, the instrumental, like that main pad sound that you have, the main synth sound, is just not quite bright enough. And same with the top drums. And you can see it over here. Oh God. Okay, that's different.
You say you still see the light in me.
Hear the difference? You know what I mean? I'm talking specifically about the instrumental, not the vocals. The reason why I'm picking sections without vocals is because when I add that much high frequency, all of a sudden the vocals become unbearably bright because the vocals are bright enough, but the track isn't. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Let's get rid of all this. Oops. But yeah, basically I boosted like everything like above 500 hertz got a little bit of boost with more in like the 6K and up. And then this kind of 100 to 300, 100 to 400 hertz range, I pulled some out of because there's a lot of mud in that area. And again, I say this all the time, but you shouldn't do it in the master, do it in the mix. You have access to do it to the offending parties. You don't have to add brightness to the whole track. You can add some brightness to that main synth sound. You can add some brightness to the top drums individually so that the things that shouldn't be bright aren't artificially brightened by what I'm doing in the master. They're just, each individual element is contributing a bit more to the frequency ranges. Okay, let's keep listening. Oh, yeah, let's catch this part. The vocal melody kind of has, it sounds like it has inspiration from Beauty and the Beat by Justin Bieber. Yeah, I like this part. But I think I agree with Swiss Cheese. I think that such a change in the track, I think warrants a bit of a breakdown and then warrants some build up. So it's not just like, oh, okay, now we're doing triplets, you know? I think building up some anticipation, getting us excited, and then smacking us in the face with this like kind of drastically different style drop, probably a better idea than just kind of like, and here's this next drop. So just like, yeah, 8-bar, whatever. I don't know how long it should be, but it doesn't need to be like this massive, like 10-minute long breakdown, but something to kind of like get us excited and to tease us a little bit with this new triplet thing, you know? And I wouldn't just do like a low pass fade. I feel like that's a bit of a cop out. I think you got to get creative with it. I like a lot of the stuff that's here. I hope that my notes make sense, and feel free to send it when you get Sunflower's vocals on it. Okay. Let's move on. I'm going to try to not be long-winded. I'm going to try to provide concise value for you guys so that I'm not here until 10 o'clock, which I don't really mind, but I just know that my bladder will not hold up. So anyway, this one's called CAD, and I don't know if I want to say that because I don't want you guys to fall in love with me, but it's called Mwah.
So you can take my stars. No one happen, I'ma keep going. Never stop playing it, you feel yourself slowing. The water around me faded, I gotta stay silent. I can't steer myself off the road, too much mileage. I need to win in this thing, so I stay reminded. You tried to stay my eyelids, my perception won't change. I don't wanna stay people I don't even know have been saying my name. They've been looking at me strange in a different way. Slow down, you should slow down.
This is really cool. I do have my my suspicious eyes going because of the
I can't steer myself off the road.
over on the Wave Candy. You see how it's like a 192, but the file is a 320. So there's that. And what I mean by that, for anybody that doesn't understand what I'm saying, is this hard cutoff right around 16 kilohertz is very indicative of a 192 kilobit per second file. The file itself, I just checked, is a 320, so it should go pretty much right to 20 kilohertz. But it doesn't. I mean, it does when like the drums come in. So it seems like there's been maybe it's a remix or a rendered project that's been reintroduced, kind of sampled. I'm not saying that it's stolen or anything like that, but I'm kind of wondering, why does some of the track have 192 kilobit per second qualities and the rest of the track has 320? I don't know. The track's sick though.
People I don't even know been saying my name. They've been looking at me strange in a different way.
And look at this like little strip of missing frequencies. That's interesting too. Like from a scientific point of view. Again, I'm not saying that anything I'm not saying there's been any foul play, but I am curious as to why that is, because I don't think it should be that way.
They've been looking at me strange in a different way. Slow down, you should slow down. That was what they said and they meant it. I don't feel the same as I was then. Crying on the plane, got my mind wet. Crying on the plane.
So yeah, I mean, like the track is dope. Don't get me wrong. I think maybe it feels a little undercooked in terms of the arrangement. It just kind of seemed like a whole bunch of crazy stuff happened, and that could kind of be equated to like a Michael Bay film, and not necessarily in a good way. Like a Michael Bay film, for sure he's done some good ones, but then there are just films that are just a lot of crazy action, a lot of crazy like effects, a lot of crazy visuals happening, but the storyline isn't quite there. So the reason I kind of make that analogy is probably just because it's like an idea right now, but it just kind of feels to me like CAD went and experimented with some stuff and made this collection of ideas. And I would probably take like a different approach now that you've created all these ideas. Now you have all these ideas that you've made, but how are you going to arrange them so that it kind of pulls us along and compels us to listen to it longer and immerses us, you know? That's where the arrangement comes in, because you can have really cool sections, but if the sections don't flow together well to tell a story, to manage our anticipation, to deliver on that anticipation, then it's just kind of a bit of a production masturbatory exercise. It's like, look at these cool things that I can do. I'm not saying the arrangement is total trash. I'm just saying that to me, the track just kind of feels like, here's a bunch of cool ideas that I have that are in the same key and tempo. But now I would probably focus on the arrangement. Yeah, masturbatory. I don't know how to say that word. But it's just kind of like, look at what I can, it seems like, check out all this production shit I can do. Because there's a lot of like incredible things happening in this piece. I just think an arrangement would do it some good, you know, to give us that crazy production stuff, but also tell a story with it as well. That's pretty much all I have for this one. Because like, it's dope. I still am a little like, I wish I knew why it looks the way it does, because we've had in the past foul play, you know. You never thought of using it in, really? I feel like I've used that a lot. Like if somebody like makes a song and it's all crazy sound design, but it's not really like a song, it's like just like a demo reel of what they can do with sound design. That to me seems like a production, like masturbation. Like you're just like showing, I don't know, maybe it is weird. Maybe I should not use it anymore. I don't know. I've used it many times. Anyway, track is sick. Make it a song. I think everything I said can be boiled down to, this track is sick, make it a song. All right, let's check out the next one. K Meyer. Pyro. Like pyro? Like pyrotechnics? I made it louder, but now the mix sounds ass. Okay, here we go. I gotta make sure that I've... Oh, thank God. I thought I still had Aiden's mastering on. The Masturbatorium. Man, that is sick. I really like that word. So, first of all, incomplete. You can certainly get feedback on a song from the mixtape. I'm not going to listen to a whole mixtape, but I also already have 21 songs for today. So, you'll have to submit for next week. But you can hop on the Discord server. The link is at the bottom there. You're going to have to manually type it in and submit for next week, and then we'll have a listen. Okay, so this track, I think it's dope. I think your kick drum's too loud. I mean, you can visually see, and I say this a lot, but like sometimes rendering out your track and visually looking at it will tell you some things that your ears may not be telling you. The kick drum is really limiting how much you can limit this with a limiter. If you want to limit this more limitly, then you gotta bring your kick drum down, because you can imagine if... Did I just see a defragging tool? When was the last time anybody defragged their hard drive? Okay, so if I do a snip of this, so you can imagine if your kick drum only went to there, all of a sudden you can turn everything up by probably like, I don't know, a couple, 2-3 dB. Yeah, defragging my SSD. I think it would flow nicely with maybe 5. It might be worth trying. Interesting. Yeah, I never thought about changing the tempo. The first thing that I noticed when I heard it the first thing I noticed was that you saw me dip the frequency in the master EQ. That kind of pluck, that 80s pluck thing is super cool, but it's very resonant down in the fundamental frequencies that it's playing. So like if we look at it, so like I would probably dip a little bit of that down in the track itself, not in the master. Because to me, especially, I bet you if you listen to this on a phone speaker, like quite loud, that frequency range being that resonant would probably cause the phone speaker to distort. It's just a little too pokey in that one specific frequency range. The next thing I noticed was when it dropped, it was kind of anticlimactic. There wasn't a whole lot of fanfare leading up to or after the drop happened. There's a bit of a swoosh. There is effects there, but they're not like super loud, or there's no snare roll. There's no little drop out before the drop happens. It feels like an unfinished idea of a build into the drop. The drop just kind of was like, okay, here's the drop. Here you go. I don't think it's supposed to be a drop. Really? Interesting. Okay. Well, either way, whatever you want to call it, I think that the okay, it's not a drop. Whatever you want to call it. Sure, even if there was vocals, even if it was supposed to be like just a verse leading up to a chorus or a drop, I still think that moment, it just doesn't hit like it should, because it sounds like it's trying to build up and do this thing, but it just kind of sounds like the thing just happens. So I would still try to make that moment a bit bigger. But the real big thing when it comes to like the mastering and making it louder and it sounding like ass, I don't think it sounds like ass, but your kick drum is really It's really loud. So I'd bring your kick drum down, and that way you can bring the overall volume of the track up. Okay, so there's some things that are kind of just like objectively out of balance in terms of their volume. This thing that comes in right here like physically pains me because it's very loud and very harsh, kind of like a little tiny chainsaw that went into my ear. So I'd straight up just bring that down in volume. Probably you could probably pull that back. It's supposed to be kind of a supporting element from what I can tell. I would bring it down like a lot, like probably like 5-6 dB and see how it sounds. The next thing is the bass just isn't really doing a whole lot for me. Especially if you listen to how loud the kick and now the clap. So the kick and the clap is providing us with kind of like an idea of the loudness, how loud this track could be. And then everything else is just not there. So hearing that kick and clap be so upfront in our faces and so loud in the mix, and having the bass be so much smaller makes the bass feel weak. So again, I would bring the kick way down. I'd bring the clap way down. To me, it also feels more like kick, clap, instead of the kick, clap, you know, like the crunchy clap, the kick, crunchy clap, kick, or kick, crunchy kick, crunchy kick. So I'd bring those down. You could even send the kick and the clap to a bus and do some hard limiting and stuff to crunch them together when they happen together so they don't add up. Like frozen, like stream. Okay, good. It's just you. I'm sorry, Cody. Okay, so that's, yeah, I think dropping your, it may seem counterintuitive, but reducing your kick and your clap and then increasing everything else is going to make a big, make a big difference. But the track is sick. I really like the musical elements of it, and I do hope that there's plans for vocals during this first section. Let's keep going. I'm gonna be real. That sounds like a fart sample. Yeah, honestly, dude, I think this track is sick. I think it really is. Like, you could fix a lot of it with the volume faders of your individual tracks. 'Cause even here, you can hear like the plucky thing in the drums are pretty much rail to rail, meaning they go all the way to 0 dB. Rail to rail is a electronics term, but I think it applies here as well. And then you kind of have the pad and the bass that they're chilling. They're just like nonchalant, you know? So I really think most of your problems could be solved by turning things down and also doing the trick where you take like your main drums, like your kick and your snare, kick and clap or whatever, and you can just hard clip them. I love my op amps rail to rail too. Just depends on the frequency range because that does affect the skew rate. It has to desaturate before it can move up off of the rail or move down from the rail. You know what I mean? But I usually push my op amps into saturation. It's just the way I am. So what was I going to do? Take this, send it to a track. So this is dirty. This is a dirty thing, but it works. If I can remember how my ABCs work. There we go. Did you know that they changed the ABC song because it's too hard for people to know that LMNO isn't a single letter? Isn't that weird? It's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O. I can't even sing it because I'm so indoctrinated to the correct version. Anyway, yeah, you could take your kick and you could just do something like this. This is just a wave shaper. And when the peak tries to go above it, you're going to have to play around with, where you put that point and how much of a bend you put on it and whatnot. But you can kind of get it so that the kick audibly sounds the same, but is no longer taking up all of this like technical space. So you perceive it as the same volume because the RMS value of the kick hasn't really changed, but you've just straight up chopped off the peaks of that transient, like right here. You cut it off right there. It'll distort, but a lot of the times that's okay because like this type of music is all distorted anyway. So like, oh no, don't distort my kick drum, So that I would try that, but pretty much I think maybe turn off your master and really have a good hard look at how loud each thing is. Because I think you'll find that like you've got some really loud elements that may even be clipping the master bus without any sort of limiter. And then you've got really like your bass is not very loud at all, right? So I turn your bass up, I turn your kick and your clap down, I turn that plucky thing down, I turn that like aggressive thing that hurt my ears, turn that down. Your atmospheric stuff can come up, and then I'd add more effects. We'll listen to the end, but I'm pretty sure that's my advice for you. Oh, okay. Oh, right, because I was going to put it through the wave shape. See what I mean? Like the whole track is going through this right now. So we're cutting off everything that goes above this. And it doesn't even sound that different. You know what I mean? Like I'll go like this is without it. But now if we look at plan on the search. Yeah, I'll do yours next. Singularity. Let's put you up before I forget. There. Okay. I always find this crazy that like you can get away with so much. Like let's go back to the kick section. Let's see. If I turn the bass up, it overtakes everything else. Do you know how to fix that? Well, maybe the thing is to not turn the bass up, but to turn those other things down, and then everything comes up with the bass. Maybe it's not that the bass is too quiet, it's that the bass and a few of the other kind of sustaining elements are too quiet, and all of the dynamic kind of things with peaks and with transients are too loud. So I would take this approach where you reduce the volume of these pokey things, like this right here, like bring that down. Maybe, and then everything can come up in the master limiting section because there's no longer peaks there. But I'm just going to show you. So I'm clipping it. Now let's look at, if we go over here, look at all that headroom. Look at the waveform. It's being clipped hard, but you can't even really tell. And now all of a sudden, so you're starting to hear it in the bass there, and I'm exaggerating, and I'm also putting it on the whole track. I wouldn't put it on the whole track. I'm just talking about putting it on the kick drum. So like you can really, it crunches there, specifically the bass does. But the kick drum, you can do some dirty things to kick drums. They already got a bunch of high frequency content at the transient anyway. So when you clip that transient down, now you just added a few more high frequency components to that transient. And yes, Wrench is correct. We are all full up for today, but you can submit next week. Okay, let me just turn off the distortion now. Okay, let's keep. Yeah, I honestly, I think the track's good. I think turn down just look through and visually identify the elements that are way louder than the other ones. You can just see it. Adjust those, remaster it, see where that gets you. Okay, let's check out Singularity. Been a while. This one's called Cyber ID. It's a very interesting chord progression. I don't dislike it, but it's definitely an interesting one. I think your bass is just living an octave above where it should, you know? Like I think it's okay to like have the bass run up and do some stuff up there, but I would anchor it an octave lower than what it is right now because it doesn't feel like the bass. It doesn't feel like the house, the home, the HQ of where the bass should live. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing right now is just, I feel like you could probably just shift the whole bass track down an octave and all of a sudden it's going to be like, it's like slipping into a warm bath. We have the sub range all of a sudden, right? I would try that, and you could maybe move some of the notes up high if you want to do a little bass run for like an accent, but I think primarily I would keep it an octave below where it's at, unless it's like a weird note, unless you're like in B or something, which I don't know what key this is. I don't have perfect pitch. Sky L does. It's crazy. Oh, you're like in D sharp. I think it's D sharp. Yeah, you're in D sharp. You could definitely go. Yeah. I always find it funny when people do E flat instead of D sharp. You know, there's two types of people in the world, E flat or D sharp. But I'm more of a B sharp kind of guy, you know what I mean? I like the B sharp. Again, in this section, I think if the bass was down an octave, it would just be better. I think this is like the easiest tweak you could do is just control down or whatever in your DAW, putting it down an octave is. The other thing is that the bass, like not the color bass, but like the character bass, it's very mono. So yeah, it feels kind of disconnected from the rest of the track because the rest of the track is quite wide. Like the drums are all wide and everything, but like the all of the kind of the character stuff is like pretty much down the center from what I can tell with my ears. So to me, it doesn't mix well with the rest of the track. It doesn't mean that you need to push all your basses super wide or anything, but I feel like there should be some width to your basses that isn't there. This part's sick. I would almost use this as the main drop and do variations of it over. You could almost use these sections. Well, maybe not that one, but like this drop section, you could almost not use it as a drop and just cut in little bits of the as like accents at the end of every fourth measure or every 8 bars or whatever, cut it in as like a little switch up variation turnaround before the next section comes in. Because this I think that's considerably better than the other parts. When do you think a track is generic? I don't think that's really a genre thing to me. The way that I determine whether I think a song is good or not really comes down to the intention behind the song. If somebody makes the most well-polished, incredible sounding pop country song about drinking beer with your buddies in the back of a pickup truck, I know that they wrote that to make money. And I know that they didn't write that. I mean, sure, maybe they like drinking beers in the back of a pickup truck with their buddies, but to me, that the intention behind the song turns me off. Like, I'm just like, I fucking hate this. And that's why I like country music. I don't like pop country. It's the most egregious of the genres when it comes, and I know I've started off by saying it's not really a genre thing. But like, yeah, it's the intention, and it goes for any genre. If I listen to a piece of EDM and it sounds like it's just trying to do whatever the hottest thing is right now, everybody uses this sound right now, so I'm going to use this sound. I'm not in. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't communicate anything to me. It doesn't sound like there's any value there. It just sounds like somebody trying to hop on the bandwagon and get their metrics up, like I want more streams, I want more followers, blah, 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 blah. But if I hear somebody doing something unique and exploring some new sound or sampling something and turning it around in a specific way or having fun, and you can tell that they're having fun and you can tell that they're being creative for the sake of being creative, then it really doesn't matter what style of music it is. And it doesn't kind of even matter how good or bad it's mixed or mastered or produced. I'm going to like it infinitely better than something that just sounds like something that a corporation shit out. Anyway, that's my answer to your question. Getting back to this track, I would also maybe simplify this drop. I think there's a lot of cool stuff happening, but I think that that's maybe playing against it, is that there's a lot of cool stuff happening. And I say this a lot, like, I think when you drop like you do here, it should really be more like showcasing or putting a spotlight on a specific thing you're doing. So maybe one of those sounds is getting most of the spotlight, and then as the drop progresses, you start introducing other stuff. But I think that dropping simply and really it's more about the groove and like getting to know one specific sound or one specific synth thing that it's doing. I think that's probably a better approach, because I like a lot of the stuff that's in this drop section, but it just seems like there's just a lot of stuff. I stretched it by accident. I really do like the vocal thing that's in there too. I think maybe it should play a more important role in terms of how it's used. It's kind of used as a background element right now, but I think it's one of the cooler elements in the track. So I would maybe try to, I would even try dropping with this, but simplify it. Don't have 4 basses going, have 1 bass going, and have that vocal thing running, and try to figure out some cool symbiotic relationship between the vocal and the bass. Because you don't want it to just be a drop and the bass is there and the vocals are there. You want the bass and vocals to be aware of each other, and you want them to be kind of playing against each other and or maybe on the same team as each other, or there has to be some sort of relationship between the elements. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's what I think. That's what I got for you. I think you're on to something, but I think it's mostly going to come down to narrowing in on the things that you really like about this track and trying to present them in a more concise way. Nick, did you read the dictionary as a child? Not more than I had to. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's what I think. Good job. All right. Oh my goodness. This is an interesting shape. What is this? Kind of looks like a Hitachi wand. Is that on purpose? Okay, here we go. This one's King Cobra Live Crystal Ghost.
Put your fucking hands up.
What pack is the Groove Kick 23 from? Because I recognize that sample name. So this is what I think. I think that there's like color style is a wild subgenre though. I agree. I agree. I think it's an interesting combination of genres. Like you hear like the color-based kind of influence, and then the you know the is that Sawyer? But there's just few sections that I really like, and there's a few sections that I'm just like, I wonder what's after this section, you know? I thought that part was cool. Honestly, I thought the intro was pretty cool. When it hit this, I feel like this should be like way louder, you know? Like I don't know why it's so quiet. Like I could probably triple that if I go like this and I just stack 3 of them on top of each other. Even that, it could be 4 on top of each other. I feel like it was done intentionally, but I think it would be better if it was just loud. You know what I mean? I think it's better, like, way louder. There's a lot that can be remarked upon. It's very true. So I really liked, like, the first 30 seconds of the track. And then my lack of enthusiasm towards the hardstyle genre may be clouding my judgment slightly here. I did like when it did that though. I liked it in like kind of like a funny way. Yeah, I thought that section was sick. I think everything up to like a minute and a half was cool and I enjoyed it. And then when it got to this breakdown section, I think the track kind of lost me. And I'm not sure if it's necessarily because the breakdown section was kind of long and somewhat what's the word I'm looking for? Like there's not a whole lot going on. What's the word? Not anticlimactic. Fuck. When there's not a lot going on. It's called anyway, it's a bit simple maybe. That's not even close to the word that I want to say, but I don't know what the word that I want to say is. Minimal, kinda, but minimal sometimes can be a good thing. I'm trying to all I'm hearing is anti-hardstyle propaganda. Yeah, I'm making it my personal mission to decimate an entire genre based on my opinion alone. Sparse, yeah, it's a little sparse. But it's like, say, like, without incident, there's a specific word. Sparse doesn't really explain what I'm trying to say because there's lots of stuff in there, but just nothing of like, I don't know. I'm going to give up. I can't think of it. Structure. No, I don't. There's like one very specific word and I just can't think of it, but that's okay. Whatever. There's just not a whole lot going on in the breakdown. I kind of got bored. And then the drop after that section, I didn't really, again, maybe it's my lack of hardstyle fanboyness, but there was nothing in this last drop that I particularly liked. I really liked the first half of the song, and then it kind of lost me. In terms of technical advice, I have none because I don't know this. I don't know. Like this genre breaks so many rules on purpose, so I don't really know how to. I'm not going to be like, it's too distorted, you know, like it is. That's the point. So I don't really have too much technical feedback. I did enjoy listening to it for the journey that it provided, but around the minute and a half mark, I kind of got a little bit bored and stayed bored for the rest of the track. So I hope that helps. Take it with a grain of salt because I'm not a hardstyle guy. Okay. Markiplier Crash Out 4. He crashed out 3 times before this. Okay, here we go.
I don't understand. I don't understand how I can be fine and totally fine, make so much progress the very first time, and then completely fuck everything up. The only answers are I'm an idiot or I'm doing it on purpose, and I swear to God, I'm not an idiot. And I'm not doing it on purpose. I think some part of me is like sabotaging myself. That's the only explanation. Is there some gremlin that lives in my brain and decides to pull strings at the wrong time? I feel really good. Stop being an asshole! I feel really good.
Okay, so this is kind of interesting. I didn't immediately know it was a cheese track.
I don't understand.
And I think it's because it got right into it. So I really like the fact that you got into it. It wasn't, a kick drum and then a bass line and then a plucky thing and a low pass thing opening up. Like, it got into it. I like that. Good job. I think, yes, the queue is, we're all filled up for today, but I do it every week, submit for next week. And you can submit on the on the forums. Wow, am I that old? On the Discord server throughout the week and listen to each other's music. But I do it every Friday. Anyway, I think when it finally got to like the drop section, MySpace. I still have one of those. Yeah, if you listen to like the part before the non-drop section right here, and then you listen to the drop, they're about the same intensity level. So the drop, to me, I know that this is not the style of music that has a crazy dubstep drop or like any sort of crazy sound design, but there just wasn't enough of a payoff when it got to the drop, you know? It just kind of sounds like we're back to where we started. In fact, it may sound less powerful because the dialogue Markiplier thing isn't there. So it just, yeah, I would try to figure out some way of like girthening the drop and giving us a little more value or a little bit more girth for the drop so that it feels like we earned something and then we got the thing that we earned. Well, to me, I don't feel like the drop section should still just be bum 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 bum, like eighth note plucks. I think you're never gonna get that to sound like a thing that happened. I think it's always gonna sound like maybe a slightly beefed up version of what came before it. I kind of feel like you might have to be like build up and go, dun dun dun. Da da dun 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 da, or like switch the rhythm up. Give us some sort of groove that's not just pluck 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 pluck. Because it's gonna be hard to make that feel like, yeah, like you're not gonna get that effect. The listeners, the audience are not gonna want to do this if it's just eighth note plucks the whole time. So I think I'm making singing. That's funny. I understand the trance thing, but with trance stuff, maybe the plucks go the whole time, but there's more to it. There's more sound design. There's more filters that are opening up. There's usually like stuff in the background rattling around. Like there's still a part that feels like a payoff. So I think I don't know. I would experiment, and I think maybe that would be good for you as an artist as well, because I feel like a lot of the stuff, maybe most of the stuff, maybe all of the stuff that you've sent in either has eighth note plucks or dotted eighth note plucks. Like those are like the two modes that you tend to go for, and you do it well. But sometimes we need something that's not eighth note plucks or dotted eighth note plucks. Sometimes you can say more musically if if you switch it up and have dan 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 like there's more information there than blum 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 blum. You can still play the same chord progression, but the spacing of the notes and the rhythm, that's almost like a built-in motif or theme, you know, like the way that you space the notes and the patterns that you create. So I would try to mix it up, you know. Get away from the eighth note plucks with the filter that opens up and closes back down. That's your comfort zone. You got to get out of your comfort zone, because we all have our comfort zones. Mine is drums. I'll sit there and make drum beats all day long, but if you want me to commit to a chord or a bass line or something, I'm scared. I have to force myself to stop producing drums and move into something else. There isn't much more I fear. I don't know what that means. And like, don't get me wrong, this stuff is good. Like that, the sound of it, everything, the feel of it, it's all good, but it doesn't feel like the part. It doesn't feel like the drop, the chorus. It feels like a supporting part where there would be vocals or some melody on top of it. It doesn't feel like the big like climax of the track. Mine is bad piano plugins. I know a few people like that. Because imagine if you were chugging along with the eighth note, dun, 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 and then you built it up, and then all of a sudden, dun, 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 boom, bam, bam, but like you switch it up, and now that's a moment. That's a thing that people could be like, I can't wait for the part that goes dun, 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 bam, bam, bam. That's what I'm trying to get across to you, is that like what you have here is good. It's just not, it's not, I don't want to say good enough, but it sounds like a supporting part as opposed to like a main like reason why I would listen to the song.
I think some part of me is like sabotaging myself. That's the only explanation. Is there some gremlin that lives in my brain and decides to pull strings at the wrong time? Stop being an asshole! I feel really good.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the sub. Like I said, like the stop being an ass. Stop me. That would be amazing. That's hilarious. I crashed. What? Am I okay? My little square in OBS is green. I hope that means that I'm good. Anyway, again, the stuff that's there is good, but to me, it sounds like there should be like a cool drop section that does something a little bit out of your comfort zone and then goes back to the comfort zone and does the Markiplier stuff. But then it builds up and it gets out of the comfort zone, does something unique. And then it can go back to the plucks because the plucks are groovy and they're emotional and they work well. Yeah. I mean, you can do anything. You can keep the eighth note. Maybe you can make the drop feel a bit more. I think I'm trying to figure out the opposite of the word that I was trying to figure out before. You can make the drop feel more grandiose or something, and keep the eighth note plucks. It's just I feel like that's possible, but I don't know if it's possible for you to do because you are so. you have muscle memory, you have comfort zone, you do the same things and just like everybody. So I don't know if you are to be trusted with trying to make an eighth note drop sound more droppy than what you've already done. You might just come out with the same thing again, right? That's why I'm trying to encourage you to maybe space your chords out and create some cool pattern out of the chords, and you can still do the same chord pattern, but like play with trust you make the eighth note drop. I don't trust you. But you know what I mean? Like I certainly am not trying to shit on Cheese for his skills. Everybody has that. Like I said, my thing is drums. Everybody has their comfort zones. And when you get into that comfort zone, it's hard to get out of that comfort zone. So yeah, I would say that's good homework for you is to try to make the drop work with the track. So it can't be too different that it feels like a totally different song, but it's not just eighth notes. Cause if it's eighth notes, the whole track just kind of feels like one big buildup, in my opinion. Okay, that's what I got. Cool. Let's move on. Meng Zhang remix. Hope I said that right. Well, first of all, I get rid of the silence at the start. That's pretty easy to do. So I can kind of tell just even visually here. By the way, does my voice ever distort? Because when I talk loud, I can kind of see it getting close to the red. But if it's not like, if it never really clips or doesn't sound bad, then I don't care. Anyway, I can visually tell that I'm going to get bored of this intro. A minute and a half of basically... Thank you for letting me know. I liked it. I liked when it started. But to me, I guess like UK kind of garage two-step sort of beat thing that's happening. A good volume for sucking. I don't really like that sentence if I'm being honest. Sucking what? D's nuts. Anyway. Yeah, I think like keeping that UK garage style going the whole time, it just kind of sounds stagnant. It doesn't, I don't feel as though I'm moving forward in the track. I feel like I'm spinning my tires and I'm not like progressing through the track. So I don't necessarily have the answer for how to fix that, but I don't think that you can take the vocal and put it over the same, there may be some slight differences, but it looks like it's, like 4-bar loop a bunch of times over and over again. That to me, I don't think is going to work. I think you've got to somehow, maybe it starts off with a more simple beat. Maybe it's just like a 4-to-the-floor kick that's low passed or something, and the vocals are really the spotlight, and then you build it up, and now we get like a hi-hat, and then we get a little shuffly thing, and there has to be some form of progression. The vocals can probably be split into 2 different verses. Yeah, I agree with that as well. So like, maybe it's more like you get rid of that section and slam this over like that, and then it gets to the drop sooner. But the length may be okay depending on how you produce it. If the fact that it takes a minute and a half to get to what I'm assuming. Okay, so that's intrinsically not a problem. Like, it's not necessarily a problem that it takes that long to get to the drop. But the way that you are currently getting to the drop, it is a problem because I can't listen to a minute and a half of the same shuffly beat doing nothing different or at least nothing of any consequence different. There may be some slight shifts or whatever. So yeah, I would rethink that structure, but let's keep going. Another thing is, we kind of have here's another reason why you shouldn't do that for so long. We listened to about, say, a minute of like the top drums, and then the drop happened, and we still have the, so it doesn't really feel like we went anywhere. And I think when you think about, isn't that an interesting thought? I think when you think about what the purpose of a song is, it's about telling a story. It's about a start, a middle, and an end, and how you progress through that story and convey that story to somebody is going to determine whether it's a good song or not, right? Too much glide, stick the initial note for longer. Interesting. So yeah, I think you have like cool elements here. I think I say that a lot, but I mean it. I think I like the UK kind of shuffly thing. It's cool. But just arrangement wise, the track isn't holding my attention. Like this drop, maybe the drop would be better if it was like kick drum, just like a kick drum in the bass. There's too much stuff happening in the drop, and all of that stuff was happening before the drop happened. So when you add those two things together, the drop just feels unimportant, right? I also kind of think that the glide is okay. I think yes, it's borderline, like almost too slow of a glide, but I like it. And I think if you really leaned into it and the drop was more simplistic and it was more about that glide and less about yeah, I think maybe the vocal just has like delay on it or something. But yeah, I would simplify it. If you're gonna do a dirty, glidey kind of bass like that, make it the main focus of the track and really like hit us with it. And then after you do that a few times, then you can introduce the vocals, because now we're like, okay, I understand, I get it. I'm acclimatized to this bass sound. Give me more stuff to chew on. That's how I think about it anyway. It's always important for me to note too that this is just my opinion. I'm not like right. It's just how I feel.
Look what you have done，在沉默中盛开的彼岸花，黑夜下一人静静地绽放，发亮。I've been trying to live，我多么想要境界。
See, like this part, to me, this is the best part of the song, because I feel like we got a break from all the elements that were there the whole time. And it's funny because I'm pretty sure it's just her vocals and you've added a respace. But to me, this is almost the most like, not stunning. No, what's it? I'm doing bad with my words today. Striking. This is the most striking part. I was like, what's it called when there's like a beautiful woman that affects you when you look at her? And I think striking is the word I was thinking about. Anyway, the bass came with the acapella. Okay, well, to me, this section, it just struck me because we finally got away from the shuffly drums that were happening the whole time, right? Honestly, I think what I would do is just try it. Just save it as a new project, file name, whatever. But just tear the drop apart and just try to get that kick and that bass thing. Try to get try to make the whole drop, at least the first section of it, try to make it work with just the kick and the bass thing, at least for like the first few kick drums, like boom. You could bring in the drums at that point, but when you have those first 4 quarter notes where it's just like kick and maybe like a white noise thing or something as well, that would just be a much more confident start to the drop. When you layer a bunch of stuff at the start of the drop, to me it sounds kind of insecure, almost like you don't have enough faith in each individual element. You have to keep adding more stuff. That to me feels insecure. That's when I hear that, that's what I think. I think, okay, each individual element wasn't good enough, so they had to add 10 of each individual elements to make up for it. I don't have any remixes, but I'm discontinuing this. The original artist doesn't want to have any remixes. Wanted to get a final feedback. Okay, yeah, I mean, like, I'll keep listening. I'll give you my feedback, and then you can apply it to your next track, or you can, I mean, I've done this many times. You start a remix and then you're like, this isn't worth it for like the clearances and all the shit. I'm just going to take out it's almost like you were using their stems to help you write your song. And then you take their stems out and you make it your song. That's probably what I would do with this. Cause I think there's lots of cool stuff happening. Oh. And some things like this too, like right here. Like that was the end of a big section and the start of the next section, but the drums just kind of kept doing their thing. Have the drums stop, do a little drum fill, and then go back into it. It's all those little details that add up to make a better listening experience. It gives the listener more things, more repeat value. They can listen to the track over and over and notice something new about it each time. So if you ever notice that, say you had like, say this was, well, obviously this is the length of your song, and say this is like your drum patterns or whatever, like maybe your top loops. Whenever you see like a long bit of the same thing over and over again, maybe go and try to find a place where you can just cut out a little piece, do a little drum fill down here, right? Obviously. Oh my Jesus, I didn't mean to hit play. And then go back into it. And then that's going to break up the monotony of like the same drum loop over and over again, right? If you drop out of that drum loop, maybe you do something like this. You get rid of a whole, maybe not that long, but maybe like a section like that. The top drums disappear for a second. And then we'd have a cool little fill, whether it's a drum fill or a synth fill, or maybe the whole track drops out and the vocal just does a vocal thing. And then it gets back into it. Like that's the magic that kind of gives a track, the nuance and the value that sets it above kind of the rest. When you have these moments that you've created, I always think about them like moments. So that's what I think. Okay, let's move on. My advice would be to just strip out all of the remix elements and make it into your own track. And the good thing is you've got a great start. So now you can just make it your own track and not have to worry about it being a remix. All right, let's listen to Nate Floof Monster Demo. That's kind of fun to say all together. Why is my bitrate going down? Here we go. Oh, I forgot to turn all my, yeah. Oopsies. Okay. Where are the vocals from? Are they yours or are they from something? Because I almost feel like when it gets to this part, maybe you could lose the vocoder and it could go to real vocals. Yeah, I mean, I think the vocoder thing is cool, but I think the vocoder thing would be cooler if it was used as an accent and then it got into this and then now it's like more natural sounding vocals. I mean, it still works with the vocoder, but I feel like having a whole song vocoded is, I don't know. I don't know if it's the move. Yeah, especially when it gets to this main section here. I feel like, yeah, I don't know how you feel about having your vocals like just vocals, but I do think that at some point, either back here or right here, especially because you have like distorted guitar, there's a lot of distortion stuff, and then the vocals are also distorted through the vocoder, so it just kind of blends in with everything. The vocals don't really cut through the mix very well because of the vocoderization. I also feel like this section feels like a build. This section doesn't feel like the destination. It feels like part of the journey. Yeah, so I think what you should do is you should think about how to get away from the vocoder during certain sections. And I think that you should build it up and do it's like you're good at making drops. I would build it up, create it, and then bam, whatever, like kind of like a mid-tempo sort of thing, or, I feel like that's what this wants to do. It feels like it's building up to something, and then we don't have the thing yet. So I would probably do it that way. I build it up and I do like a mid-tempo drop. But yeah, I think the track is cool. I think it's a good start. I just would try to get away from the vocoder at some point if you can, and build it up to a drop, because I don't know if this is supposed to be a drop, or maybe you haven't done the drop yet, but this isn't serving the purpose. This doesn't fulfill the role of drop to me. It just feels like we're still moving towards something, you know what I mean? And I think the thing that we're moving towards too is build, you created, and then you don't finish the word monster. You just say you created, and then whatever, EDM. Okay, that's what I think. Thank you for sending. Let's move on. I'm realizing that I'm not even halfway through and I've already been on stream for an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to deliver value at an increased rate. That was the weirdest way to say my thought that I was trying to say to you.
You left me kicking and screaming, not even thinking. What did she do to deserve this? I cannot fix it. I hope that you think you were wrong, cause you left me stranded. I'm gonna send
Sky L a Snapchat of this. Hold on.
You left me kicking and screaming, not even thinking. What did she do to deserve this? I cannot fix it. I hope that you think you were wrong, cause you left me stranded. Despite all the shit that you've done, just know that I miss you. Taken to one of isolation. I never felt this pain, no. Deep through in my...
Okay, so I think you fixed the this is her legally. I think you fixed the timing at the first start.
Can I fix it?
The key is interesting. I don't know. It's like not bothering me as much as after thinking about it, it maybe should, but
Can I fix it? Despite all the shit that you've done, just know that I miss you.
it's in whatever that is. I made the instrumental.
Despite all the shit that you've done.
Wait, is it in A? No way. The vocals in the key of C. Are you sure? Let's do this. Split the vocals out eventually. Where the hell? Where do I keep all my files? In my file explorer? Fowler whips, Fowler stems. One sec. Okay, Skyel. Inside my mind. Okay, here's the original. I think it's an A. I think it. Yeah, true. So yeah, it's definitely an A minor. And what's this in? Yeah. So the original track is in A minor. I'm having a hard time figuring out what the key of this is because it's using one of those UK like That's funny. That is a funny reference. It's using one of those like jazz chords where I'm like, I don't know what the root is. In fact, I don't even know what any of these notes are. It just sounds like a car horn. So yeah, maybe there is a better key to do this in. So anyway, back to the timing. The timing of the first part sounds correct.
Despite all the shit that you've done, just know that I miss you. Taken.
I think Taken has to go on the downbeat here.
Taken.
Yeah, I would take Taken and everything that comes after it and shift it over
Taken.
A quarter note. I think it's a quarter note late.
Taken. To one of isolation. I never felt this.
Yeah, that's why I don't think the key thing is bothering me. I think the timing thing is bothering me, but I think the key thing isn't bothering me because it's like the style of music where it has a loose interpretation of what key the song is in, you know? But the timing thing is definitely wrong. The vocals are, I shouldn't say definitely a quarter note late, but I'm pretty sure based on my thoughts that I'm having right now in my head that it's a quarter note late.
I never felt this pain, no. Deep through in my direction. Yeah, shaking. Cause you threw me up direction.
Now the key thing is bothering me in this section.
You got the best of me, boy. I'm feeling disconnected.
Yeah, so now in this section, the key is not correct and the timing is off.
Yeah, shaking. Cause you threw me up direction. You got the best of me, boy. I'm feeling disconnected. So why do I think about it day and night? I think about you, I think about me, I think about all the way it used to be. Oh, you're locked inside my mind. Oh, why would you leave this?
Okay, this is, I think, what I think. I think this is what I think. I'm not sure, but I think. I think that your original track is dope. I'm not sure if the Sky vocal is a good fit for the whole thing. I liked the way
You left me kicking and screaming.
I think this is sick, but when we get here, I think the track is sick, but the vocals just kind of feel transplanted. They don't feel like they necessarily fit. So I don't know if maybe this is maybe just worth making into an original and not doing the remix. Otherwise, you're probably going to have to just select little bits and pieces of her vocal to use in a more creative way, as opposed to just kind of letting them run. Do I remember the garage thing? I don't really know.
Would you leave this?
I think it's mostly because the vocal is just kind of playing. There's no like, you're not tweaking it to fit the drop section, you know? So cutting it up, doing something a little, it could maybe work as a remix if you fucked with it more and were in the right key for that other section. But right now, it just kind of sounds like you made a cool UK kind of beat, and then you put Skyle's vocals on top of it. It's not giving what it needs to give.
You looked inside of me.
And like the that M1 organ bass sound, it's not playing the right notes, I don't think. I think that's what was in the buildup as well. Yeah, dun 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 dun. So that is in the key of C. Dun 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 dun. Right? But the vocals are in the key of A, and I don't know what the key of the track is in. So there's a few musical issues happening, but the groove is cool. And I like that the Killers in the Jungle thing.
You looked inside of me.
So yeah, that's a few like technical things. The vocal, not sure if it's in the right key. Also, it's almost certainly a quarter note late in that section that I pointed out. I don't necessarily love the fact that the vocal is just running unedited, so it just feels like it's been injected into the remix as opposed to the remix built around it or whatever. The vocal and the track kind of feel like they are disconnected for that reason. And then that M1 organ dun 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 is just kind of not in the right key of the track or the vocal, like either of them. So it's up to you what you want to do. What I would personally do is probably can the M1 organ thing altogether, or maybe put it in the right key. And then I would just try either taking Skyle's vocals out and maybe using something that's not going to be considered a remix. Or if you want it to be a remix, cut her vocals up and be a little bit more creative with how you're using the vocals to make them fit the track a little bit better. That's what I got. Okay, drop hop, virtual flower fields. Now I have to pee. I'm about halfway through and I got to pee. So here we go. I'm going to listen to it while I pee.
Why do I try? Look in my eye. Nothing will say today. I just want you to love me too. I just need a way.
Okay, so what do I think of this so far? I think melodically, I'm confused and a little concerned. I feel like the first set of notes, like so. So that part sounds good to me. But then the way that the track moves around in terms of both the chords and the melody, just there, I don't know. It does feel weird to me. It makes me feel like itchy or something. There's just something that I don't like about the chord progression and or the melody that's happening. Maybe one is okay and the other isn't, or maybe they're both just a little too off. I like the sound design. I like the instruments that are playing the melody, but I don't really like the melody. And sure, part of that is maybe a personal preference thing, but I feel like you're getting kind of the same response from other people listening. So unless you're going for an off-putting melody, then I would maybe tweak some of those notes. Yeah, it kind of sounds like like the Omni chord, like the where you can push buttons and get, like, for some reason all of the chords that are available are seventh chords for some reason, or like diminished whatever, augmented this, suspended that. Like they're always like the weird, you push the button and it plays like an A minor seventh twice removed or whatever. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from these chords. I think it's that third chord that's really, it's not really striking a chord with me, if you know what I mean. It's the third and fourth chord. I think I'm okay with the first two chords, including the melody that's being played on them, but it's the last two chords that was really hard to do. It was the last two chords that I didn't really like. Well, I kind of feel like I liked the first two chords and I didn't like the third chord, but I liked... No, I'm just joking. Anyway, yeah, I honestly, dude, I think it warrants experimenting with some different chords. I just think the chords are too spicy. The chords and notes are too spicy, and they make me feel like maybe I'm like an alien that's on alien acid or something. I don't know. There's just, maybe that's what it is. Too much tension. Maybe there's just tension the whole time, and it doesn't feel like it's ever resolved. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but I don't love the third and fourth chords, and I don't love the melody, just kind of generally. But I think that the structure and the production is pretty good, so it might be just... I don't think you should do like a standard 4-chord pop chord thing, but yeah, maybe going back to the root note more. Maybe sticking at the, like, maybe when it drops, it's dun, 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 dun. Maybe it's like, maybe that's the release that we're waiting for, but we're not getting. We're the release of, get us away from these crazy chords. Can we just have a break from the crazy chords? We don't get that. So maybe if you like rocked out on the root note for a bit during the drops, that would provide some form of release from the tension. But it just comes down to, I mean, if you love it, then you love it. And if everybody else hates it, then everybody else hates it. But in my opinion, I don't love the chords, and I don't love the melody. It's too whimsical in an evil way. Okay, sorry for the bad thoughts, but those are my real thoughts. So that's all I have to offer. Okay, next up, corrupting the population. I don't know how to say that. Morai, ANV10. That looks like an input for a microprocessor. Anyway, let's have a listen. Progressive industrial techno house made 24 hours for an all-nighter. Wow. What fantastic internet. One 192.168.10.1. What is the fucking... What's my router? 192.168.10.1. What is the fucking... What's my router? Oh, for fuck's sakes.
Wow.